Shalom, this is Jay Shear sharing the Bible, and this is a 5 minute awakening about the obvious Bible whitewashing and brainwashing. I had the most likes on the 5 minute series, so here I am making another one. If you'd rather me do another on another series, please like those series, and I'll continue to make some of those. And if you remember before, Joseph can easily, if you Joseph is black, all the 5 tribes of Israel black because he looks like the Egyptians. So it's very important to understand what the Egyptians was like, and if you want to know more about how to prove all 12 Israelite tribes were black in 5 minutes, go to the website, J. Shearer's Bible, and subscribe. All right, so even with the Egyptians, you can see Queen Nefertiti and what she actually looks like and depicted in archaeology. And then you see how they actually came up with a fake bust or fake pictures of her. And the person who made it, they said that they think they did it based upon what his wife looked like. And you can see then they even made a more recent picture on Today show. They allow these people to reveal it, and it looks more, even more Caucasian, more white. And but in 2003 on Discovery Channel, they said that she was black. So if she is depicted as white, they have to also change her son King Tut. And you can see here how they said the unmasking mystery of King Tut and came up with specials. Even though the King Tut mummy looked like that, they actually turned that, and then the artifacts, the computer, and then even more recently, even got him lighter. But then the National Geographic says he has tanning secrets, even though they call the pharaohs black. But then if you look at archaeology of the tomb, he had this at his tomb, what he looks like, and then you can see that, and this is what his father looked like, his mother, his grandfather, and his grandmother all being black there. And then even if you look at the movies, USA Day call out Gods of Egypt, direct apologize for whitewashing and cast. You can see the God of Egypt, why they make them look white when they were black. Even in some movies there about King Tut, the Mummy, the Ten Commandments, so whitewashing the Bible, and does the Exodus movie whitewash the Bible? They even call them out, so they know that Egyptians were not white. And then even when you see the Sphinx, that they actually had a picture of what it looked like, a sketching with the nose, and you can see why the nose looked black there. And then even the people now, you can see how they look in reference to the archaeology, and you can see that the people of the region were actually men were black, and even the women were black as well, based upon archaeology. It looked very similar. And then Elam was Persia, and they actually um, overtook Babylon, and you can see how they drew themselves as being black, as supposed to be King Darius. This is what he looks like. And then you can see even they had boxes, very prevalent and used to be in our communities. And then you can see even with Queen Esther hid among these people in the palace of Shushan, where they actually depicted themselves here. And then Nehemiah and Ezra, when they actually came back from the Babylon or from that area, from the Persians, let them go. This is where they're coming back from. And then even King Darius, was there with Daniel, even with Daniel and the lions den. So you can see how they depict themselves there. And these is what the people nowadays look like, black ones in that region. And then whitewashing Persian movies, they actually talking about the Prince of Persia, and they even question why they drew him as that. And then even the movies around Queen Esther, you can see they look nothing like the depiction. So even the Syrians, so Syrians are very important people to us, and they call them Armenians. You can see where we're going to battle there now, but the Syrians were actually the servants of King David, and then Elisha actually made Hazel a king of through what Yah wanted him to do, and this is what he looks like, Negro nose, lips, so forth. And then this is a Bible, I mean, a book from Israel, endorsed by the second president of Israel, and you can see how they talk about some of these people. Remember that. But then you see this picture here, you see all this archaeology, then you see this drawing, hand drawing, right? But then the book even says the modern scientific term of Semitic is not identical with the sons of Shem. It says the modern terms has nothing to do with the Shem, but actually the language, where historically they were people of color. But then it talks about, we see from right to left, and then starts talking about the different people. Shem is not shown, shows Elam, Asher, Aram, and then right here it talks about Eber, which we know comes from Hebrew, and it says it's from the children of Israel belong, and which include West and South Semitic tribes. The reproduction, saying that it is a drawing, is a wall painting from Mary. And you see once again they show the same picture, but if we see what the wall painting is in the same place, we see that it's a black person. Is very important to know that, because Abraham sent his servant to get Isaac a wife from his people, the Syrians. And even Jacob, Israel was later named Israel, was called Assyrian, ready to perish with his father. And then even these are the people coming in from Canaan into Egypt, the Semitic people. And you can see what they look like with afros and stuff. And then in the same book, you see them give him blue eyes. Why do they give him blue eyes when that's not in the painting? And then this book, oh my, ooh, what in the world? And then this is basically in the 6th century. There was a painting on a synagogue in Israel about who Abraham and Isaac, and you see what they look like. And now you see there's this educational fund, and you see what they make them look like. They look blonde hair, light skin, so forth. It looks nothing like the painting with the black hair, so forth. And this is actually Mostaf Henry. He wants to be classified a black man when he came to America, but they didn't want him to be classified. They still say he's a Caucasian, even though he says he looks like this and he doesn't want to be classified that way. So they even whitewashing people now. And I'll show you the video after this is done. And this is your 5-minute awakening of the obvious Bible whitewashing and brainwashing. If you still want me to continue to make more of these, please like. Or if you want some of the other videos like that, the way this site works, like I said, the more you like a certain video, the more I make more videos about that subject. All right, shalom.
I am a black Egyptian. My father is much darker than I am. My mother is lighter than I am. I came to the US in 1978, and I became US citizen in 1985. When I became a US resident, I was told by the Immigration and Naturalization that I am white. And I told them that I'm black, and they said, no, in this country, you are white. All Arabs in this country, all Arab immigrants are white. I rejected my white classification publicly for the first time in 1987, in February. I was harassed by my employer right after that. I worked for a white school district. The superintendent is white. All the associate superintendents are white, even though that we provide services to 30% black population. The attitude towards me changed completely after I went out publicly and rejected my white classification. One coworker came to me and told me, a white coworker came to me and told me right after the function that he met with the superintendent, and if I don't keep my mouth shut, my educational career is over. He said, you have nothing to do with these people, you have a history and a culture. These people came from the jungle, you have nothing to do with them. These people lie and steal. When I see one of them in my neighborhood, I call the police. And I was told by the director of general education, who is retired now, in '88, I was told by him that I get people angry when I say that I'm black Egyptian. If I just say that I'm Egyptian, I would get along. We don't have Egyptians of European descent in Egypt. We have a population which is basically which is basically a mixture of ancient Egyptian blacks who intermarried with Arabs right after the Arab conquest. The ancient Egyptian population was brown and black before the Arab conquest. But before the Arab conquest came the Greeks. It was the ancient Egyptian population was in Egypt for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptian population was brown and black. And the Greeks came in 300 BC, and they started to intermarry with the local population. And then the Romans came and ruled from 70 BC until they were conquered by the Arabs and kicked out by the Arabs in the 7th century. And these people intermarried with the Egyptian Copts, and they made the pigmentation of the Egyptians, the Copts, much lighter because of this intermarriage with Europeans. This is a big problem because Egypt, the ancient Egyptian civilization was a black civilization, and ancient Egyptians were black according to the Greek scholars and the Roman scholars. Ancient Egypt became white only in the 19th century and in the 20th century. And the scholar who is responsible for this is Seligman, the noted anthropologist from England, Seligman. White supremacy argues that blacks are inferior than white intellectually. They are subhuman and they are incapable of building a civilization. White supremacy had one dilemma until Seligman came. The dilemma was ancient Egypt was black according to the Greek and the Roman scholars. 10 of them said that, including Aristotle and Plato. 10 of them said that in writing. They had this dilemma. Ancient Egyptian was black. So if blacks are inferior intellectually and are incapable of building a civilization, how come the ancient Egyptians built a civilization? Seligman found the solution for this dilemma. He came up with a theory called the Hamite theory. He separated the blacks who built a civilization in Egypt and Ethiopia from the rest of the black race, and he called them brown-skinned whites, or the Hamites. So Seligman saved white supremacy from this dilemma, and all the white scholars followed him from that time on. This was at the end of the 19th century. And since that time, white scholarship says that ancient Egypt is white. My case all the way up to the US Supreme Court if necessary.
Am I black or white? I am black, but for 30 years, the US government insists that I'm white. The US government classifies Sudanese Nubians as black and Egyptian Nubians as white. Does this make sense? Nubians are one people who were divided by colonial powers. How can one half be classified black and the other half be classified white? This defies science, logic, and common sense. I wrote a book entitled, I'm Not a White Man, but the US government is forcing me to be one. This book was published recently by Africa World Press, and it's available for sale worldwide through Amazon.com. In this book, I documented the threats to my life which I received. I also documented the conspiracy by certain members of the US Congress to put me in jail, the conspiracy by the US Federal Court to entrap me and put me in jail and dismiss my racial classification case against the US government, and the conspiracy by the US Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to dismiss my complaint and to put me in jail. This book also documents the 5 times I was fired within the course of 1 year. All because I'm saying that I'm black. I wrote to both President Trump and former President Obama, telling them that I do not want money from the US government, I just want the black classification. They did not respond. I sent copies of my book and press release to the media about my book, but my powerful enemies placed a media blackout and there wasn't one single story in the media about my book.